you're going to see how the minds and actions of local tyrannical government officials, how they directly affect your lives, and how this is about to be a real game changer, not only for the state of Texas, but for the entire country. This local tax official that you're going to see throughout this video is under oath. He's being questioned by our attorney. And the reason he is being questioned is because we were forced to file a lawsuit against Harrison County, Texas, to protect our religious rights. So whether you are religious or not, doesn't matter. Because if government officials can tell us how, where, and when to worship, they can force anyone from any religion or no religion to believe in what they tell us to believe in. Just as history has shown us countless times when this has happened, the country itself spectacularly falls and fails. And we just cannot allow that to happen. That's one of the reasons why we are fighting. I invite you to watch this madness because this is a critical moment. With all of the madness going on in this country, this is a big, big spark that leads to the fiery downfall of the United States. And I think we can prevent it. And I think some common sense can be had here. Maybe. We'll see. And that's for you to determine. Watch until the end because it only gets more sinister. Right now, you're going to hear the chief appraiser of Harrison County, Texas, say that lawsuits do not cause religious organizations or churches any harm. That is what he's going to say, and the absurdity of that. And we're going to go through this video, and I'm going to take these different questions our counsel is giving him because we had to sue Texas, which is Harrison County, Texas, for our religious freedom and our religious fight. And this is everybody's fight, again, no matter what you believe. And here it is.
Do you think forcing a lawsuit affects the exercise of religion for a church to have to go through that process?
Objection form.
Not in my opinion, no.
Well, church runs out of money, it can't continue, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Could you see how a church could not continue if it ran out of money?
Not necessarily.
But it could happen, right?
Not necessarily.
All right. You can't foresee any situation where a church would run out of money and be forced to shut down?
Not necessarily.
I'm not saying that it has to happen. I'm saying, could you foresee some sort of situation where a church runs out of money and then it is forced to shut down?
I cannot.
Okay. That's you can't grasp your head around that?
No, it's not that I can't grasp my head around that. It's just I disagree with the premise.
Okay. Tell me why.
Why would a church need to shut down because of lack of funds?
Because it can't pay its bills.
What bills does it need to pay?
Mortgage.
Why does it need a mortgage?
All right, well, because it might have to borrow money to buy its property.
Why does it need a property?
Okay. Because it needs people to come. Do you understand? Some churches need land to have people come and visit, right?
Not necessarily.
I know you're saying not necessarily, but it is feasible, correct?
Feasible?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No.
Necessary? No.
Okay. What I'm asking you is, if a church has caused financial harm, is it the district's position that it will never have to shut down no matter all the financial harm caused to it?
I think that's a reasonable statement as the church.
Okay.
As the...
If you want to appeal a decision from a Texas County tax office, you have to go before them to appeal. It's called the Appraisal Review Board. It's like a wife getting beat up and she wants to go get a restraining order, but she has to go before the judge, who is also her husband that beats her. It's exactly the same thing. You will see this guy, he says, yes, y'all were at the review board. Yes, we said y'all were a religious organization, and was asked, do you recognize them? Does the county recognize them now as a religious organization? Yes. But still, put us through this massive draining of funds. And for what purpose? I don't know. It seems very nefarious, but you can make up your own mind.
It says the appraisal district does not deny that there's a church out there. Did you hear that?
I heard that.
All right. That's the district's position, correct?
Yes.
This gets even better because once we were approved in front of legal counsel with the previous tax appraiser, he says then he changed his mind because we offended somebody, which is a outright lie. There's no evidence. They don't have it. It doesn't even matter because if anybody if anybody's ever gone to a church and they got offended or went anywhere and got offended, and that was the reason why you had to shut down your business or shut down your church or shut down whatever it is you're doing, then nothing would ever be open, ever. Crazy.
Have you ever heard that Robert Listman told Kevin Schmidt that tax-exempt status was denied because someone complained that they were offended by the church's religious practice?
I believe that came up yesterday in deposition.
Had you ever heard that before yesterday?
Not that I can recall, no.
Would you agree with me that being offended by someone's religious practice is not a reason to deny tax-exempt status?
I don't think anything would qualify for tax exempt if you had to worry about somebody being offended.
Oh, it gets even better. You're about to hear the representative, Mr. Flowers of Harrison County, Texas, say that he does not know why we were denied previous to his tenure, which was in 2021, 22, 23. And then in 24, he said, oh, well, here it is. This is fascinating because he says he is unsure. He hesitates because of the law actually says what is the primary and reasonable use of the property. So if the primary use is for religious activity and religious worship, then it is granted, right? Well, we qualify for that hands down, and we've had several inspections of them out here. They see it. They've spied on us. Countless hundreds of videos showcasing what we do out here. And so that's just false. And he said he doesn't know where the church stops and where I, the director of our church, where I begin, or what does that even mean? It's not even applicable to the law. Watch this.
And you realize you're speaking for the district, correct?
I do.
Right. So as we sit here today, when the jury said, if I asked you a question from the jury, and I said, tell me about the reasons why the district denied tax exemption for when the chief appraiser was Mark Alexander or Robert Listman, your answer has to be, I have no idea, correct?
Objection form.
Outside of the comments made in deposition yesterday, I have no idea.
And that's Mr. Schmidt's testimony, correct?
Yes, correct.
And Mr. Schmidt actually testified that you heard him say that Mr. Listman told him that they were going to get tax exemption, but then he got a letter that said no.
I heard him say that.
So in terms of the reasons, I'm going to ask it, I guess, this way. What's the district's position as to why tax exemption for the property was denied in 2022?
Objection form.
I don't know the reason.
Okay.
That's
What-
2022?
Yes.
That predates me. So that's,
So, as the corporate representative for the district, you can't tell us the reasons why the property was denied tax exemption for 2022, correct?
that is correct.
For 2023, can you tell us why the property was denied tax exemption?
Objection form.
Let me rephrase that.
No,
As
no,
the corporate-
it's a timing issue.
Okay. As the corporate representative for the district, can you tell us why the property was denied tax exemption for 2023?
No, I can't.
As the corporate representative for the district, can you tell us why the property was denied tax exemption for 2024?
Okay, now we're talking. In terms of why we hesitate to grant the 1120, under my administration, there are questions about the primary and reasonable use of the property under 1120, and there are questions in my mind about, for lack of a better way to put it, where the church starts and Mr. Schmidt stops.
Did y'all pick up on that? They're forcing us to fight for our religious freedom, yet the chief appraiser of Harrison County does not even know why we were denied previously, hasn't even looked into it. Yet they can continue to put us through financial harm our congregation. People don't want to, a lot of people have been scared. Oh, they're targeting y'all, so we don't want to be a part of that when we're doing wonderful, beautiful things out here. That's a big deal.
And I don't think communing with nature or meditation or prayer or fellowship or anything along those lines is specifically enumerated in the tax code. And that's the hair that I'm splitting with you here, okay, to be specific.
The tax code mentions meditation,
Does
correct?
it?
Under section 11.20, meditation is viewed as a religious activity, correct?
Yes.
Apparently, Mr. Flowers is going through this entire process, as you have seen and will continue to see. He doesn't know the substantive matters of the case. He doesn't, has not done his homework, doesn't understand what has happened prior to his tenure at Harrison County Tax Appraisal District. And that's a big problem as well. But right here, one of the main tenets of Texas law is that meditation is viewed as a religious activity, along with many other things. And here, he appears not to know the law, and then backtracks and says he does. And then following this is you're really going to like, because it is mind-blowing, actually. Our attorney is going to ask, in a series of very fast, rapid-fire questions, all of the things that we do out here, from walking in nature, from meditating, just a whole series of a bunch of questions really quickly that go to the heart of this case. Because Mr. Flowers continues all the way through this video, oh, if they qualify for 1120 and all that. This is the heart of him saying all of the things that we are doing out here. He agrees that they are advancing our religious purpose. They are religious activity. We are doing all of these things. And this is a vital thing to understand as you continue to watch Mr. Flowers try to make excuses for not granting us our religious rights under Texas state law.
With respect to the bylaws, were the church's bylaws sufficient to satisfy the district?
The dissolution clause was sufficient to cover that provision in the tax code, I felt.
Is it the district's position? Is the district going to say meditation doesn't advance the church's religion?
We will not say that.
Is the district going to say that the education that goes on at the property doesn't advance the church's religion?
We will not say that.
Is the district going to say that participating in ceremonies that go on at the property does not advance the religion?
We will not say
Is the
that.
district going to say that worshiping of the animals that goes on the property does not advance the religion?
We will not say that.
Is the district going to say that walking through the wilderness and communing with nature that goes on the property does not advance the church's religion?
We will not say that.
Is the district going to say that the videos that are made by the church does not advance the church's religion?
We will not say that.
Our attorney asked him what other churches in Harrison County have been denied because of their land use. And he doesn't know of any, because none have been denied. So if that's the case, and they have not been examined, he does not even know what they use the land for. They have not been examined like we have, none of them. So what gives here?
As we sit here today, are you aware of any other property owned by any church in Harrison County that is not entitled to a tax exemption?
Ask that one more time.
As we sit here today, are you aware of any property that is owned by a church in Harrison County besides Universal that is not entitled to a tax exemption?
No. Whether it's entitled to it or not, I don't know.
In fact, no other churches have had to file suit to protect their religious freedom until now. And as we can see, the country has fallen apart. So it only makes sense, I guess, if you're the government, to start this process now. Not in 30-something years of this guy's tenure in the tax office have they experienced people having to fight for their religious freedom. Why is that?
So with respect to your experience in Cherokee and your experience in Harrison County, over 33 years, this is the first time you've heard of an appeal in either of those districts on the issue of denial of a religious exemption, correct?
In those counties, yes. In my tenure, yes.
Now you're going to hear that the government clearly says we are a religious organization. They are not going to deny that. But yet they are going to deny our right to exercise our religious practice under Texas state law. Why are we here? Why are they attempting to squash us? We can't seem to figure it out.
Is the district going to take the position that Universal Spiritual Life Church is not a religious organization?
Objection form.
We are not.
Once again, he is asked, is this the only lawsuit that you've ever experienced with a religious organization? And they go on to talk just barely about how this is all treading on new ground. Why are we treading on new ground? Why? When they just admitted, and you just heard, we are a religious organization. Just wait, because this gets way, way better and way deeper, and I don't quite understand. Maybe you can tell me in the comments. Maybe somebody can give us some better insight into why they are violating Texas state law.
Is this the first time you've been involved with a lawsuit in the district regarding a religious exemption?
Yes.
All right. Is this the first time? Were you ever involved with a lawsuit when you were a chief appraiser for Cherokee involving a religious exemption?
No.
All right. So this is your first go around for this, right? And
For a religious lawsuit, yes.
yeah, we're treading on new ground. So I'm not a. When I ask you these questions, I realize you're treading on new ground.
So we're treading on new ground. First time in 30 plus years that somebody, a church, has to fight for their rights, yet this guy does not review any of the years prior to him in this case, because this has been dragging on for a very long time. Doesn't go and look at the videos that they recorded, because they record the appeal process whenever we had to go with counsel and make our case before them, where they admit that we are a religious organization and yet still deny us. They said we need to be taken to court. We must be taken to court so they can get more data, even though they have subpoena powers. But they have everything. They have everything. This is very similar to a colonoscopy, which has never been done. And a dereliction of duty, because he did not even talk to any of the board members to even ascertain, to gather why they would deny us in the first place after admitting that we are a religious organization.
There's been some recordings produced in this lawsuit. Have you listened to those recordings?
No, sir.
Have you personally spoken with anyone on the appraisal review board about the Universal Church?
No, sir.
So now you're going to hear where the Harrison County tax official says that they don't know of any other land use of any church. Never examined it, never asked them, yet they all still are able to exercise their rights under the law. None, not one time. Even one of the biggest churches, no cowboy churches, Cypress Valley Bible Church, huge church in Marshall, bunch of extra land. Never asked them what their spiritual use for that is. Interesting.
Are you aware of any other churches in the district that have claimed they use their land for spiritual purposes?
No knowledge. Don't know.
to your knowledge, has the district conducted any special investigations, site visits, or inquiries into other churches' use of land in Harrison County?
Not for 1120, no. Not to my knowledge.
To the best of your knowledge, has the district ever asked Cypress Valley Bible Church what its religious uses are of all that undeveloped land?
Objection form.
Not to my knowledge.
So our denial probably has nothing to do with the chief appraiser being a Baptist pastor. Probably nothing to do with it.
Are you Christian?
I'm a Baptist pastor.
Okay.
The head of the local government admits that he has to comply with Texas Constitution, the United States Constitution, not only the letter of the law, he says, but the spirit of the law. And I think any reasonable, logical person can see that that is not happening in this case, the first case. Why is that? To do good, to do something different, perhaps, than what a Baptist church might do, because they're not putting the other Baptist churches through what they're doing to us, nor the other cowboy churches or any of the other churches. So why is that?
Would you agree with me that the district has to comply with Section 11.20 in order to do its job?
Has to, yes.
Would you agree with me that the district has to comply with the United States Constitution in order
Yes.
to do its job? Would you agree with me that the district has to comply with the Texas Constitution in
Yes.
order to do its job? Now, are you allowed to go outside those laws in the performance of your job with the district?
Objection form.
You ask, am I allowed to review stuff outside that or take divergence from?
Divergence.
No.
You got to comply strictly with the law, right?
Both the spirit and the letter, yes.
Part of how we worship and love and respect the grand creator God is that we want to be good stewards of the land, just like the Bible says. We want to, in this question that you're going to hear, our attorney says that we worship the animals. Well, a part of our worship is not to pray to the animals and worship them as a God. Part of our worship is to be appreciative to God for those animals that we're going to put into our bodily temple. And we believe that that is not only a good, healthy practice for us to be connected to nature, to understand the good, happy energy going inside of us, but it's just the right thing to do. It is a good thing to do. Instead of having harmful, bad hormones from stressed out animals going inside of our body, we need happy, good, less poisoned, or not poisoned at all, animals to be a part of our human body. And that's what you're going to see here in these questions.
Well, let me rephrase it then. Is walking through wilderness and communing with nature inconsistent with
I do not
religious
believe
practice?
so. I do not believe so.
And is worshiping animals inconsistent?
I do not believe so.
Mr. Flowers, the government official who represents Harrison County Appraisal District, agrees and recognizes, I guess because he is a Baptist pastor after all, that in the Bible, communing with nature and being a part of nature and groups and ceremonies and everything else, that he admits later, but in this clip he admits that that is a religious practice and throughout the Bible. Then you're going to hear where he absolutely denies it, denies our right to have it.
Would you agree with me that religious activity, that there's lots in the Bible about someone communing with nature? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
With respect to religious worship, about how many acres per cow does the district believe is necessary for the church to have?
Objection form.
0.
What about with sheep?
0.
We need 0 land, according to Mr. Flowers, yet it is not inconsistent with the tax code. And other churches have a lot of land. Yet we actually use our land. We use it productively, being good stewards, and having good, healthy, happy cows. He says we don't need any. But listen to what he says here.
is worshiping the animals inconsistent with religious practice under the tax code?
I do not believe so.
But he agrees with all these things. We do need it. We don't need it. But so that means the government, can dictate how we practice our religion. That's not following the law, like he just said. The Texas Constitution, many Supreme Court cases, both in Texas and the United States Supreme Court, and it does not follow the United States Constitution. Let's just see what he says now. That he does not know how much land. Well, why didn't he just ask instead of put us through this at the appeal board? They already said we were a church. Why not just ask us? How many people do y'all have coming out? What's the best amount? What did you to give to everybody? Like, why not just ask instead of forcing us to fight and spend our money where we could be promoting more wonderful, positive things for humanity instead of this?
Now, if you have a religion that does that, and it has cows that it worships, and it has sheep that it worships, and it has other animals that it worships, it needs a fair amount of land to do that, correct?
I'm not going to necessarily agree with that, no.
Well, you couldn't have 8 cows on a parcel of land that's the size of this room, right? And have them be healthy.
Depends on how much you feed them.
All right. Well, if they're eating grass, if you want them to be healthy and happy, as you heard Mr. Schmidt talk about yesterday, they want animals to be healthy and happy, and that's part of a spiritual practice. They need land, correct?
Correct.
Do you know what and the same with sheep? Do you know what the agricultural code says about, or agricultural standards say about the acreage associated with each sheep?
No, I don't remember what is in the productivity guide in terms of animal units when it comes to sheep.
Okay, so the governmental official and the head of the government tax office here, we're not allowed to have healthy, happy cows in our religious practice to become part of our human body. Not allowed. Because now the government can dictate how we worship. That's a problem for everybody now. Just remember that. Because if they can do it to us in the state of Texas, they can do it to you, and they can make you believe or make you pretend to believe things that you do not do under punishment of law. And that's bad. Now he's going to flip-flop entirely.
So you would agree with me that a sheep needs a certain amount of acreage to be healthy and happy, correct?
The sheep does.
So you agree with me on the sheep, you're a little hesitant on the cow. Is that fair
No,
way
not
to?
at all.
Okay. Does a cow?
You just change breeds or animal types, that's all.
Okay. So you agree with me the sheep needs some land. Does the cow need some land to be healthy and happy?
Yes, the cow does.
Does the sheep need it?
Yes, the sheep does.
Okay, so now you see the flip-flopping of this government official that is dictating our entire survival here in our religious organization, how we appreciate and love God. That's being totally undermined by this guy that continues to flip-flop and doesn't make coherent sense out of his non-arguments for why they are denying us when we are meeting all of the requirements under Texas law. But why put us through all of this when he already knew all of these things already? Because you're about to see where he says, well, I just don't know how much land they should get. You know, maybe they probably do need some land. I don't know how much. He's the government official. This is his decision. Instead of costing us fortunes to fight this, why didn't he just go to the Department of Agriculture? You can go to their website and determine what is enough land for healthy cows. And you could expand that a little bit so they're extra happy. Like, why wouldn't he just do that? Why wouldn't he just ask us? We'd have looked it up for him, sent it to him in an email, a link. No, none of that.
The district takes issue with the church having cow and sheep for religious purposes and having that land have tax exempt status?
The district does not take any issue with the church having livestock as part of their religious practice. The district, however, feels that there is a limit to the amount of soil or dirt or land being used for religious worship. The district feels that at some point the husbandry of those animals that are part of the religious worship is simply the maintenance and husbandry of those animals and is separate and apart from the religious use.
How much land would be appropriate out of this parcel? What percentage of that parcel would be appropriate for the church to have its sheep and cow on, and it would be tax exempt?
Are you looking for a number?
Yeah.
There is no number. There's no guidelines. There's no protocols. There's no procedures. There's no principles, because we're coming back to that issue of what is reasonably necessary.
All right, what's reasonably necessary?
And what is reasonably necessary is, see, he interrupted me then.
I'm sorry.
What is reasonably necessary is a decision that is within the chief appraiser's purview to make under 11.2.
Okay.
And we reach a point where we say we're willing to do this, we're uncomfortable professionally, ethically, so on and so forth, under our license to go any farther than this. So if you want to go any farther than this, then there are Chapter 41, Chapter 41A, and Chapter 42 provisions for you to appeal the fact that I think only this much. You want the whole thing.
Well,
I disagree with that professionally, exercising my authority to determine reasonable use. So if you feel like it needs more than that, then that's something for the appraisal review board to opine on or render a decision on, or an arbiter, or SOA, or a district court, which is exactly where we're at right now.
you're the chief appraiser. How much is reasonably necessary? What percentage of land?
I have no
Objection.
number to give you.
Right.
Sorry.
So sounds like to me your position right now is 0%. Is that true?
No, now hang on a second. When we said 0%, you were asking me about how much land, I believe it was, should be allowed for what I'm viewing as the husbandry of the animals, and I said 0. Because we're drawing a fine line between husbandry and religious worship.
Well, I'm asking you real simply. You recognize that they should have, that you recognize that their religious worship includes the animals, correct? We've been through that, I think.
Correct.
All right. And you recognize that they need some land for that, correct?
For what?
To worship the animals.
Okay, correct.
So what percentage of the land for that tract is permissible for that purpose?
I think I would have been comfortable about half the footprint of the tract itself.
So as the chief appraiser for the district and the corporate representative for the district, 50% is an appropriate number for you, correct?
In this instance, in this case, in this tract,
So you agree, 50%, correct?
if it qualifies under 1120, then I would be willing to give 50%.
And is there anything else you need to make sure it qualifies under 1120 that you don't have right now?
I'm still concerned. I still have my prior concerns that I spoke of this morning,
In terms of profit?
in terms of where does one start and when the other one stop.
You saw here where there was a long drawn out diatribe of a separation between husbandry and religious activity. I don't know what that means. In the deposition, he continued on that as a husband, I'm just out there doing it for fun. So me and our clergy and the people of our congregation that come out here and help us every day, because we don't have a lot, it's just 5, 6, well, now it's 7 cows, and we're going to take 2 of them to become meat for our congregation. And we have some sheep over there that we do the same. I don't take care of those animals for fun. I take care of those animals for total religious worship. Like I'm giving gratitude and appreciation to God, just how he says, do it in the Bible. That's what we do. There's no husbandry. Every single bit of the land is only used for our religious practice. Because if it was just me as husbandry, well, I would keep 1 cow out here. Not even that. I mean, that's unbelievable. So now you're going to see where the attorneys and Mr. Flowers are talking about a map, about some land. And this is the land right out here, which is not really big enough for, it looks kind of big on this screen, but it's not. This is just a small amount. Those cows need about, to be really good and healthy, and especially on the clay we have out here right underneath the surface, they need about 4 acres or so per cow. That's per the Department of Agriculture under these kind of conditions. And they really probably need 5 to be extra, just happy and full. Now, he's going to say that, oh, maybe 50% of this land, maybe half of what the Department of Agriculture or other farmers or ranchers that we are not. We're just doing what the Bible says, and to be good stewards of the land and to have good, healthy, clean food. That's all we're doing. And he's saying, no, well, I think you only need half of that. I only think you need half of what you believe you need for your religious activity and your religious worship. That's the government dictating how we practice our religion. That goes to every one of you that have ever been to church and you love your church and you love what you're doing in your church, to have a government official come in and say, no, you can only do half of what you're doing. That's what he's saying right here.
Let's talk about this map again. Tell me what the district's position is with respect to what property should be entitled to exemption and what property should not.
Protection form.
Assuming that they or should receive the 1120, and if that is allowed or authorized, they should receive an 1120, then in my opinion, the church sanctuary, otherwise the barn or sanctuary, the event center, whatever you want to call it, on 518. The L-shaped building on 459 that I understand is kitchen and fellowship hall related. Those 2 structures would be, assuming that the church does qualify for the 1120. And as I stated earlier, I would be willing, if they do qualify, to authorize half the footprint of each respective tract.
Previous to this particular government official, we were told that we were approved and we're told we're not. Then we had inspections out here from the government, which this guy does not even look at, doesn't review, doesn't even communicate with the other people that were here during the previous inspections. And where he said, y'all qualify, the previous guy, Mark Alexander, says, you do qualify, but we're not giving it to you. I said, what are the next steps here? You know, you're saying we qualify, what is next? And in front of other members of our congregation, he says, you'll have to take us to court until you go broke. That's what he said. And our government, our Harrison County, Texas, is saying that they are fighting that we cannot have those previous government officials testify under oath. They do not want that testimony. They are fighting tooth and nail to try to prevent us from doing that. Even though you just heard, oh, if they qualify. Well, they know we qualify. They've admitted it in the under their own recordings in the appeal process. If we qualify, we could just continue to fight until we go broke. Let's listen.
Is it acceptable for an appraiser to come onto property and look through windows without giving the property owner prior knowledge that they're going to do that?
If you were to go back and take the look-through windows out, I would agree with your statement. With the looking through windows in your statement, I'd say no.
Okay. Is it appropriate for them to do that and look through windows?
Not in my opinion.
Okay. I want to ask you some questions about Mark Alexander. What's your understanding of why he is no longer chief appraiser?
Before my time.
Have you ever heard anything about why he's no longer chief appraiser?
Whatever I've heard and whatever happens to two different things.
Well, what have you heard?
Whatever I've heard is just scuttlebutt hearsay.
Well, you can tell me about that in the deposition, so tell me about that. What have you heard?
Well, to my recollection, the newspaper was very critical of things that he had said to the staff, inappropriate things that he was alleged to have said to the staff. I understand that his departure from the district was the result of an emailed resignation letter without notice or warning. What else do you want to know?
Did you ever hear that Mr. Alexander told Universal Church, quote, "Your next step is to take us to court until you go broke," end quote?
I'm not aware of anything.
Would that be an improper thing to say to a member of the taxpaying public?
I wouldn't say it.
Would you agree with me that it was improper if someone said that?
It's unprofessional at the minimum.
Unprofessional, and that kind of dovetails into something that's unprofessional is improper, correct?
Well, yeah.
Shows poor judgment, correct?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Would you say it's outside the chief appraiser's authority to say something like that?
I think chief appraisers say things all the time they probably shouldn't.
Would saying that be within the authority or outside the authority?
You can say things you shouldn't within the authority.
In your opinion, is that inside the authority of something the chief appraiser would say or outside?
It was unprofessional.
Okay. Some of the members of the church felt they were being intimidated by by Mr. Alexander. Would you agree with me that it's never appropriate for anyone with the appraisal office to intimidate a churchgoer?
I agree.
If an appraiser is speculating that someone came into money because their mother died, and their mother's not even dead, does that kind of like lend a thought to you that they might not know what they're talking about?
Objection form.
I don't know if it tells me they don't know what they're talking about or they're just bad at their job.
It would be kind of reckless. Would you agree with me that it's reckless to speculate that someone came into money because their mother died and their mother's not even dead?
Objection form.
Well, I think that goes back to just the unprofessional question to begin with.
It's unprofessional, correct?
Yeah. Regardless of how your client came into money or didn't come into money is immaterial for whether it qualifies for 11.2.
So it's something that an appraiser really shouldn't be sharing with an appraisal board, right?
And here we're talking about the ARB now.
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't do it if the appraiser thought it was evidentiary to mention that in whatever specific instances maybe, but there'd have to be some requirement of the evidentiary proceeding to make that comment.
And an appraiser should be careful to make sure that if they're telling the appraisal review board something, that there's a basis in fact for that, correct?
I would hope.
And something as easily verifiable as somebody's mother being dead or alive, that's the type of thing someone should be responsible about if they share it with the appraisal review board, correct?
If it's presented as a factual evidence and not just a flippant remark.
Well, even if it's a flippant remark and it's untrue, that's something that they shouldn't say, correct?
Well, that's the difference between unprofessional versus professionally introducing something that you didn't realize was not factual.
Okay. Would it ever be appropriate to consult a judge on the denial of a tax exemption?
Objection form.
Okay. I don't care if it's a judge, a real estate agent, a school teacher, who it is. If I am gathering factual evidence to help me make a determination, and I need to talk to whoever it is, whether it be a judge or whomever, to help me ascertain something, then that's fine. But whether that individual tells me it should be denied or granted is going to go in one ear and out the other.
It shouldn't be appropriate for a judge, plumber, anyone outside the three categories that you talked about to make a recommendation about the denial of the tax exemption, correct?
Well, sure they can. It's free speech.
It shouldn't be a basis to the for a reason for denying to the ARB, correct?
Objection form.
No.
You agree with me, right?
Yes.
Now, if you have heard all of that and all of those admissions and you understand what's happening here, I think you got a pretty clear picture. Now the hang up is not all of the other things. Now the crux of the case, according to Mr. Flowers, is that where does the church stop and I, the director, begin? Because he says I should not be enjoying the property. That's quite amazing, because this place is not only open up to the public and everybody that our messages resonate with, which I invite you to go look, and you can see those. We have just hundreds and hundreds of wonderful presentations and videos and such. So now, nowhere in the law, his hang up is where a director, preacher, pastor, guru, whatever, cannot also enjoy the property. I think you need a little bit of backstory, because this property was originally a place for our family as just a respite, relaxation from the country and or from the city, so we can enjoy the country. Now, we donated this property, and because of that donation, under Texas state law, we are not allowed to sell it. If the church dissolves, that means it has to go to either another nonprofit or to the state of Texas. That being the case, we didn't get any financial benefit from that. It was a huge sacrifice. And I don't know of any preacher, pastor, director who doesn't enjoy any of their churches. All of you people that go to church, do your preachers and pastors and those things, are they not allowed to actually enjoy the building? Are they not to look out onto the freshly cut grass and smile and be happy about it? Are they not allowed to walk and commune among their with their congregation? I mean, that's what he's saying. Happiness and enjoyment is not allowed by any preacher, pastor. Does that even remotely make sense? And does it correspond to Texas state law? The answer is emphatically no.
Well, if we're in front of a jury and I say, okay, well, why do you have questions about when the church stops or starts and when Kevin stops? And you say, well, I've got concerns about his enjoyment of the facilities of the property. And my next question to you is going to be, what evidence do you have that supports that conclusion? What are you going to tell the jury?
Objection form.
It appears to me that your client has complete use to all the facilities, all the property, as he did when it was owned by either other individuals or himself. And I'm not sure that drawing a line and saying now it's a church sufficiently separates that use and enjoyment.
If other members of the church have equal access to those areas besides his personal residence, would that address that issue for you?
I don't think so, no.
What other questions would you have?
What other questions would I have?
Well, let me ask it this way. Let's just take any old church that's on the corner of a street, and let's say the minister has access. Let's just say a Congregationalist church, because that's what I grew up as. And the minister would have access to the entire property, but maybe members of the congregation would also have access. Would you have the same concern?
That would just be dependent on the situation.
What situations would cause you to have concern?
Something similar to this.
When you say similar to this, what specifically are you referring to?
The property in question.
What part of the enjoyment of the property do you have concerns about specifically?
What part of the property? The 3 tracts that have been identified as part of the lawsuit.
I asked what part of the enjoyment of the property, because what I hear you saying is that you think Kevin's enjoying this property, and and that's kind of a personal use. What enjoyment activities are you referring to?
Well, I would say the ability to be able to use the facilities in any manner that he reasonably needs to, in terms of the buildings, the structures, the equipment, the land.
And if other church members have that similar ability, that would not be unique to Kevin, correct?
One more time.
If other church members have those same enjoyment privileges, that would not be unique to Kevin, correct?
That would not be unique to Kevin. In terms of the others being able to similarly enjoy the property, is what you're saying?
Yes.
That would mean that it's not unique to Kevin. That is correct.
Do you have any evidence that suggests that besides Kevin's personal residence, other church members do not have access to certain members of certain aspects of the property?
I have no evidence.
So he cares about this issue of enjoyment, yet he does not ask, nor, as you've seen in previous clips of him, and I'm about to show you another one, that other preachers and pastors, directors, they get to utilize the property that they're on because they are the preacher, pastor, and director, which is the natural course of a religious organization. So he doesn't go look at any of the other churches, doesn't know what and how they use the property. They only want to give us the entire absolute taking us through the gauntlet, if you will. We are being put through a torturous and barbaric discrimination. That is just exactly what it is. No other church has had to undergo this sort of scrutiny, even though we have laid everything out for them perfectly. And even though they admit, as you've seen, and you will continue to see, that we meet every qualification. And if they do meet it, which they know and have admitted already, then they are derelict in their duty of holding other churches to the same perfect standard as we are. But they are not allowing us our rights, but allowing others their rights, even though they do not use their land as we do. It's pretty intriguing. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment.
You recall Mr. Schmidt's testimony the other day that he went down to the tax appraisal office and got some information from them about some other churches?
Yes.
And I'll represent to you, this is the information that he obtained. With respect to the Cypress Valley Bible Church, the first one here, do you know the religious uses of the, let's start with the first page.
Okay.
I just want to ask you some questions if you know, and if you don't know, tell me you don't know. If you know, you know.
Okay.
As we sit here today, do you know the religious usage of the 3 acres of land that this property sits on?
I don't know anything about the property or anything.
Do you know anything that makes this Cypress Valley Bible Church different from Universal?
Objection
I don't know
form.
anything about it.
Do you know if the district's ever did an analysis of the finances of Cypress Valley Bible Church?
No idea.
Let's go to the next page, which was 291.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really tell. Is this? No. No.
This is showing where it sits according to that.
Okay.
I'm assuming, but it does say the acre is.
Right here. 0.67.
Yeah. And it continues on. They just have a bunch of separate pieces. Of
Yep.
property.
Do you know the usage of this 0.67 acres of land by Cypress Valley Bible Church?
I do not.
What about the next one, 292, the 3 acres that Cypress Valley Bible Church has there? Do you know the uses?
I do not. Same answer for 293, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99 if you don't mind.
Yep, keep going. Oh, yeah, that's that for Cypress Valley Bible Church.
You just saw Mr. Flowers say that he does not know about all the various parcels of property that a big prominent church in Marshall, Texas, what they do with it. No clue. And you're about to see, very briefly, how he does not know the other cowboy churches, the other churches in his purview or his jurisdiction. He doesn't know them either. He doesn't know what they do. He doesn't know if they're similar to us or not. He just knows that we are not entitled when all of the rest of them are entitled to exercise their rights of the Texas Constitution and the Texas Tax Code 1120.
Trails End Cowboy Church at Harrison County, which is ends in 300.
Yes.
Do you know what the religious usage of this 12.837 acres of land are, where you can tell them that the church sits on?
I have no idea.
Do you know what makes the Trails End Cowboy Church's land different from the Universal Church's land?
Know nothing about it.
Do you know how the land's used Monday through Saturday?
I have no idea.
Do you know if the district's done an analysis of the finances?
I do not know.
So we sit here today, do you know if the same standards that has been applied to Trails End Cowboy Church has been applied to Universal?
I have no idea.
Let's go to the next one, this First United Methodist. Do you know what the religious usage of this 18.532 acres of land are?
I do not.
With respect to First United Methodist, do you know how the land's used Monday through Saturday?
I do not.
Do you know if the district's done an analysis of the finances of First United Methodist?
I do not.
So we sit here today, do you know if the same standards been applied to First United Methodist has been applied to Universal?
I do not.
Does anybody else find it suspicious that he sends inspectors out? They've been out several times. Oh, and there are the cows moving around. I don't know if you can see them. Hey, babies. But does anybody find it suspicious that after the inspectors are here, they do all these things, He doesn't ask them questions. He doesn't really get to the bottom of anything. He doesn't ask the appellate board that is in his office, doesn't get any information. Nothing. So he gets no information, just like he got of all the rest of the churches that you just saw, yet denying us when he has everything and we meet all the requirements. And we utilize every inch of the land for solely and 100% religious activity. That's what we do. Now you do have to take into consideration, I'm not asking, this is my house. And it is 2 acres carved out, almost 2 acres carved out, and the church is on the other sides of it. I'm not asking for tax exemption for my house, which I am legally could. I just did not want my house, my particular residence, to be tied to that for a whole bunch of reasons. So that's where we are. Find out more about this case by get involved. Help us. We need your help with letters. We need your help to write Texas legislators. We just need as much moral and good support as you can muster. Now listen to what this guy continues to do.
They went to the property. Now, as far as where Mr. Schmidt took them, I do not know. On the property.
All right. And that's what I'm just asking. I got to know. I'm trying to fish out what they told you, because obviously that's the only knowledge you're going to have. Okay. So what I want to know is, did they tell you whether they went out and actually looked at the land, or did they just say, we talked to Mr. Schmidt?
They told me they went to the property. They told me they visited with your client. And that's about as best an answer as I can provide, because I don't know if he put them in an ATV or UTV and rode them around, or if they walked around. It's not my impression that they did. It's my impression that he took them through the facility parts of the property. But I do not know to the extent that they did not imply that they looked at the entire land.
And your impression that you received of that, was that based on something you inferred from them, or did they say that directly?
That would be an inference.
Okay. If you go to the church, when your folks went out to the church, did they tell you that there was a podium, organized chairs, a big lit up sign with the church name, side tables and chairs for fellowship meal, meditation rugs laid out in one section, a large Buddhist statue at the entrance? Would that be relevant to whether it looks religious in nature?
Objection form.
Well, first of all, they didn't come back and tell me any of that or anything similar to that. Second of all, the only time that things of that nature would be germane would be if we needed to determine, is it being used for religious worship or not? And whether that was done in this case or not, I don't know.
All right. In your opinion, can we pass on this? Is there a concession that this being used for religious worship in this area? Or is there a determination that the church is, that the district is making as to whether or not this area is used for religious purposes? Is that a contested issue?
This area specifically what?
Well, the area where they do sermons.
The sanctuary?
Yeah.
Or the barn?
Objection form.
If the church qualifies for 1120, then the next question is, what property does qualify? And if they did, then the district would concede that the structure on 518 would be considered the sanctuary church, church offices, etc.
All right. So we don't need to go in what it looks like in that area, correct?
I'd rather we didn't.
All right.
The visit, the field inspection that I instructed to go out there was a result of the lawsuit questions, and that was well after Mr. Alexander was no longer employed.
Is there any record of an inspection that involved Mr. Alexander on the property in the file that you've seen?
Not that I saw.
I'm really glad that we practice meditation out here a lot, because otherwise it would be easy to get disturbed. Mr. Flowers goes on to say that had we had already been approved before he got here, about a year or so ago, if we would have been approved, he would not even know we existed. We would be just like the other churches that did not have to have this massive amount of scrutiny. Well beyond what I believe any church in the state of Texas has to endure. It's pretty shocking. So if we would have been approved, then we would be recognized right now. And because of what happened in the past, with the other tax appraisers approving us, denying us, telling us that we'll go broke, all of those things, we are having to fight to have them under oath. What about that makes any sense? And where's the justice in that?
If Universal Church had been approved when you took over as chief appraiser, would you have any issue with its approval as a tax-exempt organization?
If it had been approved as a religious organization when I got there, I wouldn't even know it existed.
There are a bunch more clips of him trying grasping at straws to deny us. And I'll show them. If we get enough response, I'll be happy to show the rest of this whole thing. He was upset because my physical home address has the same address as the church. He said that wasn't a problem. And then a few minutes later, he said, well, I'm not sure if that's a problem. Well, the post office just didn't change it. And I don't know if you can ask for it or not. Never even went to find out. I'm the director. And plus my house is next to the church. So I can pick up the mail and put it in the church offices and then bring my mail over to my house. I don't know why that would be a reason for denial. It doesn't say that anywhere in the law. And, you know, it's just silly. It just continues to be silly and absurd on so many levels. And I just ask you, here all the way to the end, there's so much more to this. And if you find this appalling, because like I said in the beginning, if Texas falls, we all fall. And if the government can arbitrarily just tell us how and what we should believe and when we should believe it, and if we want to have good, clean food, like we have some way before, many years before now, and when we were not a church, we did have some food sales. We had a nice farm, and I stopped that so we could develop this only for a church. And because of that, learning how to grow my food, I realized how important it is just for the soul of us individually. Like, we're being poisoned by all these foods, and I don't believe God wants us to do that. I believe God wants us to take care of our bodily temple, and I was learning how to do that. And so I wanted to open that up to the public. And so I did. And we haven't had any commercial sales in many years. We've only and solely been a church. And we've done that every single Sunday and throughout every single week for many years now. And if we are subject to this sort of scrutiny and harassment and intimidation, and there's something else underlying their fight here with us and what they're causing us to go through. And I am just asking, we need your help. It's costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm not asking for any money, but at the same time, if anybody felt like they would like to help, it certainly would be welcomed. We really need your support in calling and writing, not only Harrison County, Texas, but all the politicians, even though we all know most politicians are not really that helpful, no matter what party they are. But please, thank you. And I appreciate you watching to the end. And Also, check out our all of our videos. They're fantastic, and I'll have a link in below. Thanks.